What's up? What's up? How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Ugly Truth About Real Estate Investing podcast, episode number 32. If you have not done so already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and leave me a review so that I know if you guys like it. Plus, it helps me reach more people. So go ahead right now. If you can, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you're watching it on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe, leave me a comment so I know you're listening to it. And if you are listening to this in podcast format, iTunes or wherever, go ahead and subscribe, leave me a review, share it. So let other people hear the message so we can help as many people as we possibly can. So today I have a good friend of mine on here today who was actually on my very first podcast when I started this, because he is the man that kind of got me into this end of the business in the first place. I've been a real estate investor since 1994. But he is the one that kind of convinced me to start sharing and teaching with other people. And so it is my great pleasure to have him on once again. Welcome, Antonio Edwards. How are you doing today?
All right, thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me on your podcast, man. For the second time is an honor. I mean, it's good seeing you. And right now we are home in quarantine during COVID-19.
Getting ready to have another baby.
And ready to have another baby. A baby boy literally any day. So we may hear some hollering and screaming, depending on if the contractions come during this time. But I'm on the edge right this second.
So what are we naming? Corona, quarantine?
There's a lot of COVIDs out there that we've been seeing. There's a lot of Coronas. People are naming their babies.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're going to remember forever.
Yeah, but we don't have a name for him yet, Scott.
Really?
He's unknown right now. He's nameless. So.
All right. Well, you don't want to put him down as unknown, so you still got a couple minutes to think of something. So what I wanted to talk to you about, well, first off, if Antonio, if you wouldn't mind taking a minute just to tell people about yourself, what you do, and how you got here, and then I want to take a second and kind of talk about our current market, current situation, and your thoughts on what we have going on moving forward.
Yeah. So for people that don't know me, who's watching this, just find out about me. I'm Antonio Edwards, obviously. I've been in the business since 2009, so that's 11 years for me. I can't say I'm here. I've been in one full cycle. I mean, right now we're coming to the down market. I came into business 2009. It was the recession. It was the Great Recession is what they call it. It was a no man's land. I was wet behind the ears, Scott. And at the time, I didn't even realize I was in a crash because I'm new. I was a clean slate. So I'm coming in with my new fresh cash buyers that are looking for fix and flips and rentals at that time. And I was just flipping to just those cash people. I had like 4 or 5 people I was just flipping to my go-to guys. And I didn't have a huge list. And I met these people at the RIA because I went to a RIA during the crash. And these were, I introduced myself. And that's one tip, guys. Always, let people know what you do when you go out in public, especially like real estate, RIA meetings and your local workshops, let people know what you do. Stand up, don't be shy, because afterwards, those people are going to remember you. And that's what I did. And a couple guys and couple buyers came up to me and said, "Hey, Antonio, I see you say you're wholesaling houses. I'm looking, I have a couple $1 million. I'm looking to buy some rentals, or I'm looking to buy 5 fix and flips a month." And that's how I built my 4-person cash buyer list at the time. And that's all I needed in the crash. Make a long story short, my first deal was a crackhead house. And shout out to my mentor at the time, Chris Haskins, who walked me through my first deal. I put out 100 banner signs, and that's back, Scott, when you can scoop up many deals via banner signs. Now, banner signs still work. It just doesn't work as close to what it used to back in those heydays in 2009, 10, 11, where I used to put out 100 banner signs, and every 100 banner signs, I was at least getting one deal, at least one deal per.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And they used to call me the banner sign king. And I remember that first deal, came about. It was 5 brothers. There was 1 sober brother and 4 crackhead brothers living in his house. 721 Parter Road. You can look it up, Chesapeake, Virginia. So I'm walking in this house, made an appointment, walking in this house with Chris at the time. And I'm like, man, like who the fuck will buy this? And I remember he was just like, I smell money. and me, like with no experience whatsoever, I didn't think this even is. I didn't think people would even buy houses like this, because in my brain, I'm like, man, I pass houses, distressed houses like this all the time, and don't even think nothing of it. But little did I know that it was a lot of money behind distressed properties. So we're walking in this house, it's distressed. These 4 crackhead brothers, they're laid out in the house, no power, no electric, no water, shit all in the toilet. It just smells like crazy. It was the ceiling was all rotted out, leaky, and man, it was just crazy. So we would go in the backyard on this little some tree stumps, and we signed a contract for $48,000, man. $48,000. And later that day, I found out the house was worth about 135 on the ARV after repair value. With that being said, we text a buyer. We told him 60,500. A couple hours later, he didn't ask to go inside. He drove by the house and said, "Hey, I want it." So it was just like that. My first deal for $12,500. My first year, I did 26 of those. 26 of those. Where my second one was a rehab. My second one was a rehab, which I should have wholesaled, and we can maybe go on that topic later. I should have wholesale made $5,000 within 2 weeks, but it was a good learning curve. But my second deal was a rehab, which only made $3,000 in 6 months.
And all the work that goes into it, but we all got to learn.
Yeah. So I did 26 deals my first year, wholesale deals. One was a rehab. And I was basically just flipping to the same few buyers, and it was a good ride. In my second year, that's when I read the 4-Hour Work Week, start learning the whole Timothy Ferris system with the VAs and virtual assistants, and you don't need a 5,000 square foot office with 100 employees to do this business. Because that was when I first started. After my first few deals, that was my goal. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get this huge office. I'm gonna hire this. I'm gonna hire this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have this huge operation. And you don't even need that. But yeah, so I know I'm ramping, Scott, but I'm just going to share that story, man.
You're fine. That's my mindset too. I used to be that way, where I had buyers and sellers and coordinators and all these people working for me. And I tell this story often. I used to have to do 3 deals a month just to be at zero, just to cover my overhead. I had to do 3 deals a month. And the challenge was, if I didn't do my 3 deals one month, next month I had to do 6 deals just to be at zero. And even though we were crushing it, doing so much money, in the end, I was always chasing. Because you have one bad month, and the next month I have to do 6. Well, if I only did 5, now I'm still not at zero. The next month I have to do 4. And I got to the point where I was just constantly chasing just to feed the machine and the overhead. And it wasn't until 2013 for me where I got rid of everything. I have no more employees. I have no more, now if I make a check of 30 grand, I get to keep 30 grand. Wow. And it's so much better than it used to be. But, everybody goes through it. It's a difference in mindset and what your end game is.
Yep. I totally agree on that.
So, Antonio, we are in April 2020 right now, and known as Corona time. And so I'm curious, because you're down in Florida, I'm up here. You work my market as well, though. And I'm curious on your thoughts on what you're seeing with your local market and what you're hearing.
Right now, I'm not really seeing any huge changes as of yet in our market. And even just talking with other friends and other investment colleagues in their markets, is no real huge change just yet. I know we was kind of talking about that earlier, Scott, off this recording. However, I am seeing like delays and slowups from title companies that's slowing up closings because court systems and running title. You have to make an appointment with the abstracts and all that. So that's the biggest change I've seen as of late. Maybe the second biggest change is some lenders are pulling back from lending.
Yep.
Which that is a big thing. However, we're still getting multiple showings where buyers are still buying, or at least majority of the buyers are still buying. Some buyers happen to kind of pause their business for a little bit, but most buyers are still buying and still seeing multiple showings. The leads, God, the leads are coming in like crazy, Scott. I would say close to half of our leads as of the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I've been noticing landlords selling their rentals all of a sudden. Like, nice. Yeah, I have 3 contracts right now. 3 of those, one is an owner, so he's selling us 3 of his rentals, and we're actually buying them. And he just actually called us because we're closing those 3 next week. He has 2 more he wants to sell. All of a sudden, he has 2 more. Like, you told me you only had 3.
Well, because he sees you coming through. That's
yeah,
all.
so he has 2 more, and I'll tell you about those out the recording. I don't know if you're looking to buy, but
I'm always looking to buy.
A good slow flip. So, but yeah, I mean, right now is no huge changes. Most buyers are still buying. Majority of the lenders are still lending. Local banks, I mean, FHA, Fannie and Freddie, they're the biggest lenders out there. They're still lending. Now, if they stop, then that's going to be a huge.
I don't think they'll stop. They just might tighten criteria.
Yeah. Right now, there's not tight. They haven't tightened anything yet from their end. I know we talked about Chase tightening up some things, but yeah, I have a couple refis going out right now, and it's pretty been smooth. So
one of my favorite sayings in real estate, and this is interesting because you started right after the bust. One of my favorite sayings is that real estate has a 10-year cycle, but a 7-year memory. And I love it because you see everybody doing the exact same things they did before that got them into trouble in the first place. And then they forget all about it and start doing it again. And I'll tell you something that I am thankful for. And I tell people this all the time. I am so thankful for how badly I got busted up during the bust in 07 that I did not forget. So I did not forget. My memory did not last 7 years and then forget. And so I'm so thankful every morning that I don't have any stress now. I have complete peace because I have so many houses free and clear. I have no debt. I have no car payments. I have no credit card payments. And I think, Antonio, from the beginning, you've always kind of been on that mindset anyway, even though you haven't gone through the bust. You've been along the same lines with slow flips, right? You're paying them off. You don't carry debt, to the best of my knowledge. You've been along the same plan. And I see people that did not. Even just 2 months ago, I've had people argue with me about why my plan's no good. You can make so much more money if you do this, this, and this, right? And ain't nobody arguing now. Ain't nobody arguing now.
I have to give you a huge credit to you, Scott. I mean, we met was around 2010, give or take. Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to you and taking on your advice, because you're giving me your advice from being in the bubble and all that. I mean, 2006, 2005 and all that. I mean, you're crushing it. And you're one of many, many, many investors that got hit hard. So I'll listen to that advice, and I'm like, during this time, even fast forward to today in 2020, since 2009, I'm, following your lead, some other, couple other mentors lead that been there, done that, been around the block for, 20 years, 30 years in the business. Because I don't want to make those same mistakes. Now, granted, I make mistakes, but as far as making those huge mistakes, I listen to you and I don't forget that. So I don't have amnesia with the 7 year.
At least you listen, because I tell you what, I didn't listen. Back in 04, 05, I was meeting with older investors, and they were talking the same way that I talk now. And I would leave out of that meeting, and I remember thinking, I'm like, man, if only that guy knew what he was doing, he would make so much more money. He's only got 20 properties, but they're all free and clear. Yeah. I have 80, but mine are all mortgaged, right? And I'm thinking, man, if this guy knew what he was doing, he could turn those into 100. And then at the bust, who's laughing now? And I'm like, so it's good that you listen, because I had to go through it for me to believe. Otherwise, I was like, man, that guy just doesn't know what he's doing. When in reality, he knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. And a lot of times people do not learn from other people. They have to go through it themselves. And I'll tell you something else. What are we going to call it? The guru space, right? People training, teaching. You're going to be one of the few that is going to come out of this unscathed because of the way you've been operating, myself included. There are so many people, and we don't know who they are yet, because right now they're still going on and on about how everything's great and everything's working. And it is going to work for another 3 months, 5 months, but we are going to go through some severe economic repercussions of this, and you are going to see them disappearing. I promise you, I'm telling you, I've seen this before. You are going to see them cutting off their YouTube channel, cutting off their Facebook, and just going off into the sunset, never to be seen again, left and right.
I love it. I love it.
It's going to happen. There's no way around it.
And what I do want to share, like one thing. I don't know if you remember, Scott, when I first, I think it was my first rental property. I was doing Section 8. And you're starting out with the slow flip route, and he's like, "Hey, this slow flip, this is it. This is amazing. This is a stress-free, low maintenance cash flowing strategy." And I was going the Section 8 route. I don't know if you remember that property in Norfolk on Shoot, but
I absolutely remember.
I'm getting freaking calls every month, leaky toilet. I'm like, fuck, like I had my cash flow was wiped away off of the second call, my cash flow was wiped away. I was already making like only maybe like $90 a month difference between what the Section 8 was paying versus my mortgage payment. And it just sucked. So after that first traditional rental, I was like, okay, Scott, tell me about the slow flip again.
Well, it's just I mean, you can't compare. You can't compare. So I have 47 of them are paid off now.
Nice.
In May, I have one comes free and clear. In June, I have one comes free and clear. September, I have two come free and clear. In December, my last one for the year. I love it. I mean, the idea that once I hit that 60th payment, I never have to make a payment again. And now you get to start keeping the cash. But on top of that, like you just mentioned, no maintenance, none of these phone calls, no having the upkeep. It's just a matter, you're a bank. You're just processing payments. That's it.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how many do you have now? I know you're still buying in my market, correct? You buying in my market and in Florida?
Yep. I'm right at around 30 right now. 30.
And you have them in Florida also, or just here?
Just in Virginia. I mean, 30K properties, 40K properties, you're not gonna find.
There's some areas I have people buying in Florida. Maybe not right where you live.
Maybe Jacksonville area.
Yeah, there's a couple areas where they're buying.
Yeah, but Orlando, not 30K properties, not yet. Maybe when the market crashed officially, but
yeah. So it's interesting. So what do you foresee? So okay. So we went through what's happening right now, but what do you see happening 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now? What is your thoughts on what you believe is going to happen?
Oh, I mean, I would say as early as 3 months, but maybe definitely in the next 6 months, we're going to start seeing a lot more motivated sellers, So for people that's going to be in the game then and have some access to cash or have their own funds, this is going to be like a kid in a candy store for an investor. If you're able to withstand this whole pandemic and this whole financial crisis that we're going through right now, next 3 to 6 months is going to be way more motivated sellers. Going to be a ton of great deals. I mean, amazing deals. Because I'm just basing it off of 2009, Scott. I remember those. Man, I remember those deals I should have kept. And we always got that should have, right?
I know.
I was just wholesaling my life and just flipping my life away, man. And just from 2009 to 2012, I flipped. It's probably close to 100 properties I could have. No, I would say 50. I would say 50. I could have kept for myself. Like, and it's coming again in the next 6 months. So I'm well prepared. So we're going to have way more motivated sellers. So right now, if you're in the business for cash flow, I would start, just reaching out to your team and your resources, and I would start try to get some capital raise. Not maybe not to buy today, but maybe in 3 to 6 months, from this April.
Dry powder, right?
Yeah, dry powder. You have your tools and your guns ready to go out there and just hit the streets. So it's gonna be a bloodbath. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
So that was you actually just touched on what I was going to ask you next. If you're brand new, or even if you're an investor right now, but you're kind of on hold like the whole world is, we're all stuck at home right now. What would you advise them doing, getting themselves prepared and ready to take advantage of this upcoming market?
Right now, I would by far wholesale. I mean, it's always going to be buyers in any type of market, up, sideways, down. It's going to be buyers always. So right now, I mean, there's buyers are still buying like crazy, and you could just go into people watching this. You can just go on a couple of groups in Facebook and be like, who's buying? Who's still buying real estate? And you'll be like, me, I'm buying like crazy. That's me. I'm buying. And those are your people that you flip to. And obviously, if it's your local market, if you're in Atlanta, go to an Atlanta real estate investing group so you can see specifically in that targeted market who's buying. And right now, we're still wholesaling. I'm still buying some slow flips, but I'm very cautious. The ones I'm buying,
they're going to get cheaper, I think.
They're no-brainers.
Yeah,
they are going to get cheaper.
And one thing you mentioned before I even asked was if you're getting ready for this upcoming market, like Antonio just said, raise money. Work on raising money now, even though you don't need it. Just have it ready. Don't take it from them. Just say, hey, I just want to know, if and when I'm ready. And so you have 100 grand, 300 grand, whatever it is lined up for you. Start lining it up now. So when the deals come, you can act on them, and act quickly. Yeah.
But right now, for people that's at home, quarantined, I mean, most people are either working from home or don't have any jobs. So they have time. That you're home. You're not going to really, I don't think maybe anytime soon, we're not going to have this much time at our house where we can study, we can educate ourselves, and we can focus on something or start a new venture or business. In this case, real estate business. Like the highest conversion rate is now to getting sellers on the phone. So right now we're cold calling and we're tech. We have many strategies, but our top two right now are cold calling and text campaigns. And people are answering their phones and they're responding back to text like crazy, Scott.
Somebody to talk to.
Yeah. So for the people that are looking for the fix and flip side, I would be I wouldn't do fix and flips right now. Me personally, I wouldn't advise that. But for wholesales, absolutely, you get a property locked up. See who the people are who's buying in your market. See who the people who raise their hand. Focus on those buyers and see what they're looking for, and go out there and put the bait out there and get some leads and get some deals locked up, so we can wholesale to those buyers that are buying right now in this pandemic. I think that's the easiest thing right this second.
So, Antonio, speaking of free time, because we're sitting home, so I have gotten things done. I've been home now since March 14th, barring a couple times where I've left the house.
Yeah.
So I've had an unprecedented amount of time on my hands, right? So I've gotten some things done that have literally been on my to-do list, some things for 4 and 5 years. And I'll tell you, I finally, my live 3-day event, I finally set up to be, to be sold online. So people that are out of state or couldn't come to my 3-day event. My book, Work Just Gets in the Way of Making Money. I don't think I told you this. I finally created the audiobook. It's actually in processing right now with Amazon because they have to approve it. They say it could take up to 30 days. What else did I get done? I've been getting down so much stuff. I've been completely setting up my, I set up for the shirts. Remember, we've always been talking about people want to buy the shirts. I finally set it up where people can buy them. All these different things that have been on my to-do list to get done for years, but you just don't have the time. And now I'm like, well, now I have the time. I can't say I don't have the time. So with that, I ask you, so tell me, and not to mention reading books, but God, reading books, I've gotten so much done. But I want to ask you, what have you gotten done since we've started this, since quarantine? Have you gotten done anything big that you've been working on or been wanting to get done, but just didn't have the time?
Yeah, I mean, mine's on a personal side. I've been enjoying more time with the family more so than me, knowing I can leave the house, I can go here, I can do this. I'm here more, and I'm spending more time with the family and more present. So that's me, is more on the personal side, less than the business. So I've been more present with the family side and enjoying that, because I know we're just home. I mean, you can't really go nowhere unless you're going to get some toothpaste at freaking Target or something. Other than that, it's nothing to do other than be in your house and just find something educational to study or watch Netflix or spend time with the family.
So moving forward, what is it that you're excited about?
I am excited about the next 6 months, Scott. I'm excited about 2021, what this whole, now granted, this whole pandemic, I send my condolences out to the deaths out there, people that, it's such unfortunate, people that's tested positive, and the numbers are growing every day. Now, on the optimistic and the positive side of that, it's going to be a lot of opportunities for us. So I'm excited about the future and all the opportunities that this pandemic is going to bring. Because I mean, we know up to date is over 20 million unemployment filings, and they're projecting 40 million, Scott. 40.
I think the record before was like 6.
It's not the pandemic that's a huge issue here. It's
the economic impact.
Economic impact, and this, like we was talking earlier, it hasn't even started yet. We have, I mean, as far as we haven't seen the change yet. We're hearing about it, and people all have their own perspectives, but it's not here yet.
It's going to be years. I keep telling this to people, and they don't like it. They think I'm being negative. I think it's a fact. We are going to be dealing with this for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Till it's all settled and stabilized. And I don't mean the virus. The virus, hopefully is gone next week. I don't mean the virus. I just mean the economic impact. So I want to mention one other thing, because you kind of alluded to it, but I wanted to mention about being excited and yet not sounding like you're being cold and heartless, right? Because it's an interesting thing when you're in the business. When we're talking, obviously, I'm excited about these next couple of years. I think I'm going to make more money these next couple of years flipping houses than I've made in the last several combined, because it's going to be such an opportunity market, right? But if you're not in the industry, now, generally, if you're watching this video, or if you're listening to this podcast, you're somebody who's in the industry, right? So you're excited about it as well. But if you're not in the industry, and you're talking to your hairdresser or just somebody in your family who's not in real estate, and you talk to them about, you're excited about this market, what are they thinking? they're thinking you snake, you're taking advantage of people, you're doing all these horrible things. And let me explain to you, for those who don't know, the reality of the situation. You are helping somebody out of a bad situation.
Yes.
They need your services as a real estate investor. And so, yes, from an outside perspective, they look at it as though, oh, you must be taking advantage of somebody. They're having a hard time. And I can see how it looks that way. But the reality is that person has a problem and you're helping them out of the problem. So I've had this argument with people, and I'm going to tell you the way I answer it in case any of you come across the same argument. So say I have somebody that got hit with the worst financial crisis in the world. They have a house they need to sell. I end up buying the house. Then a person not in the industry says, oh man, you're going to make 50 grand on that house. You took advantage and this and that and this horrible things. I ask them this person has this bad financial situation. Let's say they're going to lose the house to foreclosure. What would you think was better for them? To me to do this deal and they walked away with 20 grand or whatever the numbers be, or for me to not do the deal and they get nothing? Right? What do you think would be better? For me to do something with them, make a deal, work on something, or just say, nope, they're having a hard time, I don't want to be involved, and then just let them drown? Because that's what happens. Without real estate investors, these people who are in dire situations, they drown. It's hard when you're not in the industry to understand, but they need us. They need us. They need our services. And so, when you're in the industry, you understand it. But when people outside of the industry hear us be excited about this upcoming market, they think like you're excited about, the end of the world. And I'm like, it's not the way it is. It's just there's going to be a lot of people who need our services. And so we're there to provide those exact services.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, just to add to that, Scott, and I like how you elaborated on that for the people that's looking at us like, oh, you guys are crooks, you're snakes, blah, blah, blah. We are helping out, we're helping out as a whole, the investors, ethical investors helping out the country. We're raising values in the communities. We're hiring people so people have jobs. And for us, for people that do slow flips or just the type of strategy we do, we're providing affordable housing. I mean, our average rents or whatever we're charging is $700 to $800, maybe $850 on the high side. So we're making these houses affordable for people to actually maybe just refresh their lives because the way we do it, Scott, we don't do huge credit checks and like, oh, you did this, you got this on your report card, so you get, you're not approved for this house. And they have some type of ownership of the home. So I think we're doing a great service with our real estate. Now you do have some crooks in everything, every niche.
In every industry, there's going to be some of that, right?
Yeah. So I'm excited about, what I can say. I'm excited about what the 6 months holds because I know I can scoop up some properties and it's going to be a win-win, and I can provide something at an affordable price at $700 a month, where probably a year ago or 6 months prior, that same occupant or tenant buyer was paying $1,000 a month, and now they get something affordable at $700 a month. So
yeah, it's a win all the way around. It's all perspective. Exactly. Yep, it's all perspective. So Antonio, I know you have to go and it's been almost 30 minutes, but let me ask you before I let you go, one last thing. What is one piece of advice you'd want to give somebody listening who's just getting ready to step into this market now? What's a big piece of advice you can give them moving forward?
Absolutely. So my biggest advice is educate yourself. All right. Right now, I mean, I don't know when you're watching this or listening to this podcast. During quarantine or after quarantine, I want you to educate yourself, and most importantly, get a mentor like Scott and myself. Actually, Scott and we're actually partner up on our coaching. Do you want to share the page or whatnot?
No, I'll put stuff down below.
Okay, so Scott should have a link or something where you can get coaching. But I would educate yourself and get a mentor that's actually doing deals. There's a lot of gurus, and we're not. Scott and I are not gurus at all. We're actually doing this business. We're doing deals. So make sure you vet your mentor before you sign up for anything, but you do need a mentor. That way you can, alleviate those huge speed bumps and, all those mistakes. If it wasn't for me meeting Scott in 2010, I'll probably have Section 8 rentals and and all this stuff, and I'll probably be gray.
And ironically, I never would have gotten into the training space, which is one of my favorite things I do. So yeah, it's the way things work out.
So you get a mentor because mentors can shorten your learning curve and your success. Your success can come a lot faster versus you trying to teach this yourself. Just think of it like this: like some people like to watch YouTube and buy courses all day. That's cool, but and imagine you just watching that yourself, and you're the only you're your own story. You're gonna make up your own story, and you're trying to train yourself. Versus a mentor, they're going to give you their one-on-one mentorship. They're going to give you the advice. So you have another person, another brain that's going to give you the experience to change your mindset versus you trying to teach your own self, which could take forever, or you may not do anything at all. So I advise you educate yourself and get a mentor.
And lastly, before I let you go, if somebody wanted to find you, follow you, where can they find you at?
Yeah, so they can they can follow me. Just go to YouTube, Antonio Edwards Real Estate. I'm pretty sure I'll come up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram, probably more than any social media platform. YouTube and Instagram. Instagram Antonio _ the letter J _ Edwards. And yeah, I mean, send me a follow, send me a DM. Let me know you was watching or listen to this podcast, and I'll respond back.
All right. Thanks, Antonio. I greatly appreciate you coming on, and and I will see you soon. And for everybody watching, thank you guys for watching or listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Have a fantastic day.